In downtown Richmond, there is a unique fundraiser underway.
That's right. Participants are getting a chance to rappel down the side of the SunTrust building, and our own Nate Eaton is there live. He gets to do it as well. He joins us with details. Nate?
Yeah, Christina, I'm still wondering if I'm alive. I just got off the building. That's 400 feet in the air. The last time I rappelled, I think, was Boy Scout Camp 15 years ago. Now, this event is called Toss the Boss. Anybody that wanted to could pay $3,000 and have their boss go over the edge. It's all for the Special Olympics. Now, a lot of people were wondering why Juan Condi wasn't out here rappelling down the building. I wondered the same thing, but coming up later on in the newscast at 5:30 and at 6, I strapped this camera to me as I went down. We have some pretty incredible footage there. You won't want to miss that. We're going to have more on the Special Olympics and what else you can do if you want to rappel down this tall building. So join us later on for that. For now, reporting live in Richmond, I'm Nate Eaton, 8 News.
400 feet's not enough for Juan to get excited to rappel down off of. He'd like something like the Empire State Building. Boy.
I'm Nate Eaton, live in front of the SunTrust Center, where this afternoon and tomorrow 53 people are going to be rappelling down the building. You can see one of them on their way down right now. I myself just got off the building, coming up at 6 o'clock. Why is this going on? And if you're crazy enough to want to do it yourself, we'll tell you how you can get involved. Join us at 6 o'clock. For now, reporting live in Richmond, I'm Nate Eaton, 8 News.
Thanks, Nate. That guy is not doing so well there. You got to do a little hop thing and kind of pop off. I'm sure he's afraid.
Welcome back. You might have noticed a unique fundraising event in downtown Richmond today.
It was pretty hard to miss.
That's
Participants
true.
got a chance to rappel down the side of the SunTrust building. Our own intrepid Nate Eaton is one of them. He joins us now in full gear with details.
Yeah, Juan, I think I'm just starting to calm down now. We had to wear these gloves. Check out how black my hands are. That's from gripping those ropes so tight. I believe we have some video of me going down earlier. Now, all of this is for the Special Olympics. I'm joined here with Roy. He's with the Special Olympics. Roy, why are you guys doing this?
We're trying to bring some awareness to our program and, of course, raise some funds that are much needed so we can run our programs like the Summer Games out at the University of Richmond every year.
So if people want to get involved and say they want to rappel down this 400-foot building, what do they need to do?
Well, for this year, we're all full, but for next year, they can go to overtheedgeva.com and register and start raising money. Everybody that's going off this building today raised at least $1,500 in order to do this.
So it's quite an experience, a thrill for them and a thrill for you guys, too.
It is. It's a thrill for us, and it's also what I was telling you earlier. We're trying to get people to understand the challenges that our athletes face every day. So we want you to face a challenge that you can overcome like our athletes do. It's all about promoting respect, inclusion, and unity for all of our athletes.
Boy, it was a challenge for me, but I tell you what, it was a quick challenge and nice to get over with. The athletes that participated in Special Olympics deal with this every day, and their courage is much more admirable than mine and the other people here. You can come down tomorrow and watch the people scale down the building. They're going to be here starting at 7 a.m. It goes all day, and you can start raising money now to get maybe Juan Condi or one of your other friends up on that building next year. Reporting live in Richmond, I'm Nate Eaton, 8 News.
As we head to break, here's 8 News reporter Nate Eaton rappelling 400 feet from the top of the SunTrust building in downtown Richmond. He's holding back the tears right there. Toss the Boss is a Special Olympics fundraiser that gives people like Nate here the chance to throw caution and fear to the wind. Good job, Nate. We were pulling for you out there. When you see news happening this weekend, call the 8 News hotline at 330-8000 or email news@wric.com. Way to go, Nate! Back to that breaking news now in Midlothian. Fire officials say a vehicle's crashed into the Lucky's convenience store at Village Square Place. 8 News reporter Nate Eaton is there on the scene live now with a report for us. Nate, what can you see?
Oh, Juan, it is quite a mess out here. Check out behind me. There's at least 2 trucks there inside that Lucky's of Wood Lake. That is not the only damage. You can see as Ashby pans over here, there's a few bushes that have been taken out. And then over here across the lawn of this Methodist church, a tree was taken out. Another tree was taken out. A power box just down there was taken out. This whole area is basically ripped up. Now, there were a few kids here that saw this happen. Come on over here, guys. Now, Caleb, you said you were standing on the lawn over here. What did you see?
I saw another car, a small car, hit a utility box, and then the utility box flew in the road. The truck behind it hit it, and it went like under the truck. It jumped the curb and then hit about 3 or 4 trees and then went right into the Lucky's.
Now, you guys were standing over here, right? What were you thinking?
I was just basically in panic, like hoping it doesn't hit the gas station, explode. I was just worried for whoever was in it.
Jordan, tell me, what did it sound like?
Sounded like a big, a gun was shooting, and we all thought that like someone was shooting a gun and stuff.
Really? So the one car hit the power box, right? And then that flew in the road.
Yep.
And then a truck ran over that and somehow got distracted, I guess, or
Basically, yeah.
thrown off. So you saw the whole thing collide into that gas station. Were there people there pumping gas?
Oh, we really didn't pay attention to that. We were actually watching the truck, and I know there was a girl named Emily that was outside of the truck that I've heard have gotten hit by the truck.
Okay, well, the fire department's telling us there have been 4 victims of this, 2 seriously injured. They were taken to the hospital, 2 others with minor injuries. They were actually just transporting them a few minutes ago. Obviously, people inside the shop had no idea what was coming, and businesses surrounding the shop were taken aback when they heard this whole thing. The neighbor next door, the business owner next door, said it sounded like dynamite, just crazy noises going through here. And obviously, it's quite a mess out here. We're going to be out here and bring you the latest as it develops. For now, reporting live in Chesterfield, I'm Nate Eaton for 8 News.
8 News at 6 starts now.
Thanks for staying with us. We are following 2 breaking stories right now. The first out of Chesterfield, where a car has run into a building. It's here in the 14,000 block of Village Square Place. Our 8 News reporter Nate Eaton is live on the scene with details. Nate?
Christina, it is, I guess you could call it a mess out here. Check out behind me, 2 vehicles inside that Lucky's convenience store this afternoon. People that saw the whole thing happen said it was absolute chaos. I'm here with Matt Coffin of the Chesterfield Fire and EMS Department. Matt, what can you tell us? What's the latest?
Well, in short, we had a vehicle that ran off the road off Woodlake Village Parkway, and ended up in the front of the Lucky's convenience store here at Woodlake. Unknown why, unknown how. Police is investigating the accident, trying to put together the details as to what happened. Meanwhile, we were dealing with hazards such as a minor fuel leak, and then concerns with patients. 4 patients transported, 2 with serious injuries, 2 with non-life-threatening injuries to local hospitals. So very scary day for folks, but in the end it was wrapped up pretty quickly, and we're thankful that no further serious injuries occurred here.
Any specifics on the victims, ages, things like that?
No ages, no specifics, other than the fact that we had 4 adults that were transported, and again 2 with serious injuries as we'd consider it, and then 2 with non-life-threatening. So at this time, PD's handling the investigation details as to what happened, and we're working with U.S. Postal Service, folks like that who were affected, that had facilities here that were affected by the crash.
Thank you so much, Matt. Really quick, let me show you. There's damage there, and then all over here, Ashby, if you pan around, the whole lawn of this Methodist church right here torn apart because of this accident. We will bring you the very latest as it develops here. For now, Juan and Christine, I'm Nate Eaton reporting live in Chesterfield. Back to you.
When I found her laying on the ground, I got on my knees and I said, God, I've seen you work miracles before. Give me another one.
Her daughter survived a freak accident, and tonight, for the first time, a Chesterfield mother talks to us about the ordeal.
Welcome to 8 News at 11. That woman's daughter is a Cosby High School cheerleader.
The accident was at a Lucky's convenience store near Woodlake. 8 News reporter Nate Eaton brings us an 8 News exclusive.
Tonight here at Lucky's of Woodlake, things are pretty much back to normal. You can see in the entryway there, it almost looks as if nothing occurred yesterday. But what did happen there is something Emily Drescher and her mother will never forget.
I just started screaming.
Tuesday afternoon, Sharon Drescher picks up her daughter and 2 friends from Cosby High School after cheerleading practice. They stop quickly at the post office in Lucky's. The girls get out of the Tahoe and put letters in the outside mailbox while Sharon goes inside. A few minutes later, she hears an explosion.
I ran to the door and saw that my daughter was laying on the ground.
15-year-old Emily, unconscious. Crammed next to her, Sharon's Tahoe and another truck. One of the vehicles starts to smoke, and Sharon faces a big decision.
Should I leave my daughter still and not move her, or should I get her out of that entranceway in case that car did explode?
Sharon decides to leave Emily, so she crouches over to protect her. Meanwhile, Emily's friends had gone back inside the Tahoe before the crash happened and were able to escape.
The windows were blown out and they climbed out.
Paramedics arrive and take Emily to MCV with lacerations on her face and bruises on other parts of her body. But miraculously, CAT scans are clear and she has no broken bones.
I think it ended the way it did because when I found her, laying on the ground, I got on my knees and I said, God, I've seen you work miracles before. Give me another one. And he did.
Now, Emily's two friends are both doing okay, and it's one more time, 3, 2. Now, Emily's family hopes that she'll be able to go home tomorrow. Both of her friends are doing okay. No word tonight on the condition of the driver of that other truck. Reporting in Chesterfield, Nate Eaton, 8 News.
We have breaking news right now. The U.S. Supreme Court has just refused to block the execution of sniper mastermind John Allen Muhammad.
Muhammad, of course, scheduled to die by lethal injection tomorrow night. 8 News reporter Nate Eaton spoke exclusively with his attorney today in Fairfax.
He spent over hundreds of hours with John Allen Muhammad, and today Muhammad's attorney spoke with me extensively about the case and what he expects to happen tomorrow.
We don't ask for sympathy, and we don't ask that people think of him as not responsible.
John Sheldon admits his client, John Allen Muhammad, is the mastermind behind the D.C. sniper killings, but argues that Muhammad is mentally ill and because of that should not be executed tomorrow.
Like people with mental retardation or like juveniles who have reduced judgment, reduced understanding, and reduced impulse control, isn't somebody with severe mental illness just like that? There's no intellectual difference.
Now, Muhammad's attorney also spoke with us about representing one of the most infamous killers of the past decade. Coming up on 8 News at 6 o'clock, hear what he had to say about that. Now, the man who helped solve the sniper case, Chief Moose, spoke with 8 News anchor Morgan Dean recently. Here's this exclusive report.
New information tonight. The U.S. Supreme Court has refused to block the execution of sniper mastermind John Allen Muhammad. Tonight, 8 News reporter Nate Eaton speaks exclusively with Muhammad's attorney in Fairfax.
We're not asking for sympathy.
John Sheldon has one last wish for his client, John Allen Muhammad, that Governor Tim Kaine will grant him clemency and spare his life.
It's extremely understandable that for many criminal defendants, especially John Muhammad, that folks are not sympathetic to the fact that he has severe mental illness.
Sheldon argues evidence of Muhammad's mental illness was never heard by a jury, and that means the difference between life and death.
If they heard the evidence of his severe mental illness, at least one juror would have stuck with life, and John Muhammad would have gotten life without parole.
Instead, Muhammad will die by lethal injection unless Kaine steps in. Sheldon hopes that happens, but knows many others don't.
No matter how severely mentally ill John Muhammad is, that means nothing to the victims in the case. It doesn't change anything to do with the fact that either they were severely injured or they lost their loved one. There is no comfort in that to them.
So is Muhammad doing anything special tomorrow? Has he requested a final meal? Tonight on 8 News at 11, his attorney answers those questions. Now with more on his exclusive interview with Chief Moose, here's 8 News anchor Morgan Dean.
The U.S. Supreme Court has refused to block the execution of sniper mastermind John Allen Muhammad. Muhammad is set to die by lethal injection tomorrow night. 8 News reporter Nate Eaton spoke exclusively with Muhammad's attorney today in Fairfax.
If everything goes as scheduled, then 24 hours from now, John Allen Muhammad will have been executed. But tonight, his attorney here in Fairfax is speaking about how his client will spend his last day.
Sitting in prison with nothing, waiting to be killed.
That's how John Sheldon says John Allen Muhammad will spend his time Tuesday.
Professing his innocence based on sort of his paranoid delusions.
Unless Governor Tim Kaine grants Muhammad clemency, he will be executed. And as for the few decisions Muhammad is allowed to make in his final hours, he's leaving those up to the legal system.
He has no interest in choosing lethal injection or electrocution, and he hasn't. He has no interest in choosing a last meal.
And you will want to stay tuned for our 8 News Extra with comprehensive coverage on the sniper. That begins in just a few minutes. Reporting tonight in Fairfax, Nate Eaton, 8 News.
The first sniper victim survived 5 bullets.
And he recently sat down for an exclusive interview with 8 News reporter Nate Eaton.
This was all bloody and glasses all over the place.
7 years later, Paul LaRufa still can't believe he was the first victim attacked by the D.C. snipers.
I was scared like everybody else was scared.
It was around 10 p.m. on September 5th, 2002. Paul left his pizzeria in Clinton, Maryland. He put his laptop and cash from the daily sales in the back seat of his car.
I opened this door, sat down. As soon as I shut it, I just looked. I didn't even look to my left. I just felt to my left, flash a light, and the window exploded.
There's been a shooting at Marcelina Restaurant.
Two men in the parking lot called 911.
I hope he's not dead. You gotta send him on the line.
As Paul clung to life.
A guy came out from behind the store and shot Paul LaRufa and hurry up, I'm bleeding.
5 bullets pierced his body in his left arm, chest, stomach, diaphragm, and spinal cord.
I don't know if I could say I felt each one, but, you know, I felt it happening.
Paramedics rushed him to the hospital with bullet fragments scattered throughout his body.
And they're just right next to my spinal cord, so I missed at least being paralyzed by a quarter of an inch.
Miraculously, Paul was out of the hospital within weeks. Meanwhile, John Allen Muhammad and Lee Malvo were using his money to fund their operation, but Paul had no idea they were the ones who had attacked him.
I was pumping my gas and looking around and ducking like everybody else.
It wasn't until a few weeks after Malvo and Muhammad were caught that Paul learned Malvo had indeed shot him.
It's still shocking then to find out, holy mackerel, that's the guy who shot me.
Paul was called to testify at both of the men's trials and was on the stand as Muhammad acted as his own attorney.
The guy who was responsible for trying to kill me got to ask me questions about, you know, what happened. It was just emotional to see him there, right there.
Since that day, Paul has never seen Muhammad in person and is not attending his execution.
As far as I know, he's never expressed the least bit of remorse about anything. So I think he's just a psychopath.
While Paul has no desire to see Muhammad, he does hope to speak with Malvo one day.
I think it would be interesting to have a victim interview the person who tried to kill him.
Paul has physically recovered from his attack, and psychologically, life gets easier every day. He knows he's lucky to be alive, and his car is a daily reminder of that.
I survived in that car, so it's more of an attachment of a lucky car than an unlucky car.
In Hollywood, Maryland, Nate Eaton, 8 News.
8 News reporter Nate Eaton had a chance to sit down with John Allen Muhammad's ex-wife.
Here's what she told him about the execution.
I just never thought that John would do something like that.
Mildred Muhammad never imagined that her husband of 11 years would be responsible for killing 10 people, injuring 3, and terrorizing thousands of others living near Washington, D.C.
I never thought he would explode like this.
Mildred married John Allen Muhammad in 1988. For the most part, their relationship was normal, but John did have some issues.
I would purchase glasses. He would break all of them except for 2. I would purchase dishes. He would break all of them except for 2 dishes.
Despite this, Mildred says John was very outgoing and loved to be around people.
He was focused on what he wanted to do with his life and how he was going to go about doing it.
In 1990, the Muhammads had a baby boy. That same year, John was assigned to Saudi Arabia for military service. There, he became a skilled marksman. But when he returned home, he'd changed in a big way.
Well, he went from being happy to being depressed all the time. It was like his spirit had been broken and he was trying to find himself again.
John was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder but never received professional help. To complicate matters, the military brought forth major charges against him.
He had told a sergeant that angered him that he would kill him, his wife, and everybody down to his grandmother.
A jury found John innocent. Meanwhile, Mildred had given birth to 2 daughters, but the Muhammad's marriage was crumbling. Mildred asked for a divorce.
He wanted, to see the children every other weekend. That's what we worked out. And this particular weekend was my mother's birthday, and he didn't bring them back.
Instead, he took the kids to Antigua, where he kept them for 18 months. Mildred tried unsuccessfully to track them down as John would call and threaten her.
I was still looking at the rooftops. I was looking at every open window because I knew John was going to kill me, and I knew it was going to be a headshot.
Eventually, Mildred got her kids back and moved to Maryland in 2001. The next year, John and Lee Malvo left Washington State for the East Coast.
Do you think he left the West Coast to come out here to find you?
Yes.
That was his purpose?
That was his reason for coming here.
Mildred didn't know her ex-husband was in the area, and as people were being killed by a sniper, she had no idea John was a part of it.
I was looking for John, and I was looking for the 2 Caucasians in the white box truck. So I'm looking for 2 different people, because one of them I'm thinking is going to get me.
When John was finally caught, Mildred couldn't believe it as investigators told her the news.
I'm just thinking, oh my God, John?
Since John's trial, Mildred has started a nonprofit group to help domestic violence victims. She's written a book and says she's accepted the fact that tomorrow her ex-husband will die.
I don't need him to say I'm sorry. And if anybody is looking for him to be remorseful, it's not going to happen.
In Clinton, Maryland, Nate Eaton, 8 News.
And happening right now, sniper mastermind John Allen Muhammad will die in just a few hours by lethal injection. 8 News reporter Nate Eaton is live at the execution site in Jarrett. Nate, want to ask you, the Supreme Court has refused an appeal. Governor Kane has refused clemency in this case. Is there anything that can stop this?
Well, at this hour, Juan, no, there's really not. I spoke with Muhammad's attorney this afternoon, who told me that they decided not to go forward with any other option once the Supreme Court handed down their decision, and once Governor Kane refused clemency, they decided to not oppose that and go forward. So here in about 4 hours, John Allen Muhammad will be put to death.
My son's father will be gone, and I'm going to have to be there for him. You know, I know there's going to be some change with him, and I have to be there for him.
Now, that was Muhammad's first wife. She was here this afternoon. She came to see Muhammad with her son. She had a son with John Allen Muhammad. He's now 27. They came to say goodbye to him. She was not allowed in. However, her son was. He went in and met with Muhammad for several hours. When he came out, he didn't want to talk with reporters. He didn't want to discuss the matter. They simply drove away. There were also at least one victim who came this morning to meet with Muhammad. She didn't want to talk with the media. We do know that there will be about 13 witnesses, at least 13 witnesses in there, 13 victims witnessing the execution of Muhammad. This is a very big story. Media here from all over the world, and we will continue to follow it and bring you updates throughout this newscast. For now, reporting live at the Greensville Correctional Center, I'm Nate Eaton for 8 News. Back to you.
Thanks very much, Nate. Governor Kane's statement on Muhammad's clemency request reads in part, "I find no compelling reason to set aside the sentence that was recommended by the jury and then imposed and affirmed by the courts. Accordingly, I decline to intervene."
Well, in under 4 hours, John Allen Muhammad will be put to death here at the Greensville Correctional Center in Jarrett. A lot of media from around the world are here to cover the event, and some of the victims impacted by John Allen Muhammad will be here. We know at least 13 people will witness the execution. Coming up in just 15 minutes, hear from Muhammad's first wife. She was here this afternoon. She tried to go in and see him. Hear her thoughts on the execution. Reporting tonight at the Greensville Correctional Center, Nate Eaton, 8 News.
Thank you, John. Happening right now, sniper mastermind John Allen Muhammad is preparing to die in just a few hours by lethal injection. Our 8 News reporter Nate Eaton is live at the execution in Jarrett. So, Nate, I understand you spoke with his attorney today. What is his mood and what has he been doing today?
Well, Christina, his attorney said that he really is sitting in his jail preparing to die. We do know that earlier on he met with his son from his first marriage for at least a couple of hours, 2 or 3 different hours. The son went into the correctional center behind me, stayed there, and then immediately left, did not talk to any reporters. But Muhammad's first wife did. She said that she wanted to see him today, wanted to come and say goodbye. And the first question they planned to ask him was why? Why did you do this? What led you to do this? Unfortunately for her, she said she was never allowed the chance to go into the prison and ask him those questions. But we did speak with her about some of her thoughts and her son's thoughts. Here's some of what she had to say.
My son's father will be gone, and I'm going to have to be there for him. You know, I know there's going to be some change with him, and I have to be there for him.
And again, we do know that at least 13 victims will be inside to witness the execution. A few, very few representatives of the media will also see the execution. It is scheduled to go at 9 o'clock tonight. Yesterday, his attorney told us that he really wasn't going to choose a specific final meal. It was just going to be another day. Today, we're being told that he has chosen a meal, but he has asked that that not be released, not released to the public. The correctional center here is continuing to give us updates on this execution, and we will keep you updated through the remainder of this newscast. For now, reporting live at the Greensville Correctional Center, I'm Nate Eaton for 8 News. Carrie?
8 News at 6 starts now.
Thank you for being with us tonight. We are about 3 hours away from the scheduled execution of convicted sniper John Allen Muhammad.
Well, today Governor Kane denied clemency for Muhammad, clearing the way for his execution.
I pledged when I ran for office that I would uphold the laws of Virginia, and the death penalty has been reserved for the most serious crimes. By anyone's definition, this would fit into among the most serious crimes that have been committed in the Commonwealth in our history.
8 News reporter Nate Eaton is live at the Greensville Correctional Center in Jarrett tonight.
And that's where tonight's execution, of course, set to take place. So, Nate, what is the mood like there?
Well, Christina, it's relatively quiet. A lot of media here, but as far as protesters, anything like that, there has been none that we have seen. Now, earlier on, I did speak with Muhammad's attorney. I asked him what happened. What did Muhammad do when you told him that he was going to get executed, that Governor Kane did not grant that clemency and that the U.S. Supreme Court refused to change the decision? He said that Muhammad really didn't even flinch. He just kept doing what he was doing, which is always, from day one, he's always proclaimed his innocence. Now, today we spoke with Muhammad's first wife. She came here to say goodbye to him. She was not allowed in, but her son was, who happens to be Muhammad's son as well. She says that today is really a day kind of full of mixed emotions.
It was hurtful for me to see him walk in knowing he was going to see his dad for the last time, so it was very hard for me to see that.
And Carol Williams there says after Muhammad is executed tonight, they will take his body back to Louisiana, where they will hold a proper burial for him. Coming up tonight on 8 News at 11, we will have complete comprehensive coverage on the execution of John Allen Muhammad. For now, reporting live at the Greensville Correctional Center, I'm Nate Eaton, 8 News.
Thank you, Nate. Muhammad's attorney says Virginia is executing his client before his appeals were fully pursued, saying, quote, "The state of Virginia will execute a severely mentally ill man who also suffered from Gulf War syndrome the day before Veterans Day."
Thank you, John. Our top story tonight, just after 9 p.m., convicted sniper John Allen Muhammad was executed by lethal injection. Our 8 News reporter Nate Eaton is live at Greensville Correctional Center with the story. Nate?
Christina, John Allen Muhammad was pronounced dead at 9:11 p.m. That was 13 minutes after he entered the room containing the lethal injections, 2 of them, the IVs, that would kill him. Now, a couple of witnesses, a couple of victims and victims' families were inside of that room. They got to watch it. None of them spoke on camera to anybody this evening, but earlier today, one of them said that tonight, this execution brings to an end a nightmare that began 7 years ago.
I never heard him utter a word or say anything in particular.
A quiet ending to the life of John Allen Muhammad, executed by lethal injection and pronounced dead at 9:11 p.m.
He walked in, he staggered a little bit. It was very calm. There was no speaking.
Muhammad entered the room at 8:58 wearing a blue shirt, blue denim jeans, and flip-flops. Family members of victims watched through a mirrored glass door. They could see him, he couldn't see them. At 9 o'clock, medical workers strapped him down.
Once he was strapped down, he was watching and looking around a little bit.
Then a curtain was pulled as workers administered the IV.
After that was completed and the curtains were opened back up, he had his head tilted slightly to the right and his eyes were closed, and that's the way he remained.
Media witnesses say Muhammad was calm, showed no reaction during the entire ordeal, and when asked if he had any final words, said nothing. When it was all over, Muhammad's attorneys read a brief statement expressing sympathy for Muhammad's children and victims of his crimes.
To all those families and the countless citizens across the country who bore witness and continue to do so to those tragic events, we renew our condolences and we offer our prayers for a better future.
And authorities here at the Correctional Center say the reason that curtain was pulled is to protect the identity of the workers. Now, Muhammad's attorney tells us today that his last meal was chicken with red sauce. He didn't say what type of red sauce, but it was chicken with red sauce and strawberry cake. As for his body, his first wife was here today. She says they plan to take it back to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where they will give Muhammad what she calls a proper burial. Reporting tonight in Jarrett at the Greensville Correctional Center, I'm Nate Eaton for 8 News. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Nate. If I could just ask you one quick question. You mentioned this is not, you there, Nate? Thank you. You mentioned this is not just a local story, of course, it's also a national story. Talk about the other members of the national media you see there.
a lot of members of the media here. I believe we counted 27 satellite trucks. Also international media. A group from France is here, from Germany, the BBC is here. This, of course, is a story when it happened that captured worldwide attention and is continuing to capture worldwide attention tonight. So it's been all over the cable news stations and a lot of local channels too.
All right, thank you, Nate. We'll hear from you once again in a few moments. Thank you. Welcome back. Just 2 hours ago, convicted sniper John Allen Muhammad was put to death.
8 News reporter Nate Eaton's been live at the Greensville Correctional Center all day and joins us now again with the latest. Nate?
Yeah, John Allen Muhammad was pronounced dead at 9:11 p.m. tonight. That was about 13 minutes after he walked into the death chamber. A lot of victims affected by his sniper shootings were here to witness it. Also, earlier today, his first son came to speak with his father. He didn't talk with the media when he exited the correctional center, but he spoke with his dad. He was inside the correctional center for at least a couple of hours. His mother, however, spoke with us tonight, saying that it was going to be a tough day for her. Also, John Allen Muhammad's attorney spoke with us about how his children are doing. Here's some of that conversation.
Our sympathies also extend to the children of John Muhammad, who with humility and self-consciousness today lost a father and a member of their family.
And an emotional time for a lot of people affected by this case. Tonight, reporting in the Greensville Correctional Center, I'm Nate Eaton for 8 News. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Nate.
Thank you, John. We begin our team coverage tonight with 8 News reporter Nate Eaton, who is following severe flooding in Smithfield. Nate, how bad is it there?
Christina, people living here in Smithfield say they have not seen it this bad since 2002 with Hurricane Isabel. Take a look behind me. This is a road that runs through Smithfield with a bridge completely underwater. That sign that says caution high water, yeah, it is very high. And then if we pan over here to the Smithfield station, there's a hotel, a restaurant, a few other businesses in there, completely underwater. Business owners are saying tonight they're glad that their buildings are built high up because this water, it really is taking a toll. Now, we spoke with a few people when we got into town today. They say it has been raining constantly for the past 2 days. Schools were canceled, let out early today, and they've received word that schools will be canceled again tomorrow. One thing, it's not just rain, but it's heavy wind coming, consistently blowing and making the water really kind of go everywhere. And of course, we're here at an incline, so it really is just piling up. Believe it or not, a few hours ago, it was up to probably right here, my knee area, and people say now it's actually going down. That, of course, dealing with the tide. Now, we just spoke with a homeowner about this rain. Here's what he had to say.
Well, that's hard times for all of us now, and we've been through it before. I remember 2002 when Isabel was there, we had something similar, but we've been blessed. We'll stay here and it'll work out just fine.
That, of course, is a homeowner living here. His whole backyard is flooded. Picnic tables, they're now on the street in front of his house. Coming up in a few minutes, hear more from him. Also, the amazing video, these pictures you have to see. For now, reporting live in Smithfield, I'm Nate Eaton for 8 News. Back to you.
Thank you, Nate. Thanks, John. Flooding is happening all around here, and it's also predicted south of the metro area in Smithfield.
Our 8 News reporter Nate Eaton is there now live. He has the latest on conditions. They look pretty bad, Nate.
Yeah, Christina, the people here are sure glad, I'm sure, to hear when John says that it's going to subside. I told you a few minutes ago we were going to be in the backyard of a home that was flooded. We went there. It was so windy, so rainy, we had to come back here. Check out the shopping center behind me. There's at least a couple of inches, maybe up to a foot or two of water there at the base of all of those stores. A couple of the store owners or workers keep coming outside on the deck to see if the water has subsided. For good news for them, it has. And then if we take a pan over here, something kind of ironic here on the deck, there's a little canoe up there. I don't know if anyone has been out in that canoe today, but it sure would help here on this very popular bridge. We do notice occasionally on the other side of the bridge, a couple of cars come to cross over. I mentioned earlier that we spoke with a homeowner here who says it hasn't been this bad since 2002. Here's part of our conversation.
Well, I put up a retainer wall around the back, and it seems to be doing the job, but we have a lot of water to accumulate inside the wall, and I have pumps to pump that out. So far, it's working fairly well.
So you have the pumps going right now?
The pumps are running right now as we speak.
Wow. What do you... Yeah, those pumps are running as we speak, just at the home right behind us. We're going to be here all morning long for Good Morning Richmond to keep you updated on the water levels here and give you your complete forecast. Right now, we'll go back inside the studio to Christina.
All right.
You're flooding, wreaking havoc in central Virginia this morning. Our 8 News reporter Josh Landon and Nate Neaton have team coverage this morning. We start with you first, Nate. You are in Isle of Wight County with the latest. Good morning.
Good morning, Amy. We are here in Smithfield, and check out the main road that runs through Smithfield. This is South Church Street. You can see it is a complete river going through the Church Street. Now, over here is what's called Smithfield Station. There's a hotel in there. There's some shops. There's a candy store, completely covered in water. And then if we pan a little more, you can see some homes. Yeah, this is the yard right next to a house. You can see back there the clothesline. I don't know if we can see that in the picture, but the clothesline, it's about halfway up there. Of course, this is impacting several people here, several homes here, and the main road is shut down. We have here a homeowner named Timmy. We interviewed him last night as he was trying to get water out of his house. Timmy, what's the update? Are you still covered in water?
Yeah, we're still covered in water, and the renters are covered as well. They had to move out of their homes, and we really need help down here, man, from FEMA or the Red Cross or someone. These people don't have anywhere to go. They lost a lot, and it has a tremendous impact.
Have you ever seen it this bad here?
Each time it seemed to intensify. It was really bad when we had the last storm in 2002. But this time it seems as though it's much greater, and the tide's supposed to rise again this morning, with the greatest impact coming this afternoon.
Now, we spoke with you last night. You had pumps going to keep water out of your house. Has that changed overnight?
Well, the pumps ran all night, and I have an enclosed wall to try to protect my house. But what has happened, more rain fell than the pumps could remove. And now I have the same problem over again with water in my house.
Yeah, so you've got a couple inches in your basement.
Perhaps more, and a lot of damage.
All right, schools here canceled today. A lot of businesses shut down. It really is kind of a mess here, especially with this going on. And in about 20 minutes, the tide is expected to come in. So people here are getting prepared. Now we're going to go over now to Josh Landon. He's in Chesterfield County monitoring the weather there. Josh, what can you tell us?
Could be looking at, again, some problems out there with trees and power lines coming down. 50 scatty showers at the lunch hour, 53 at 5 p.m. Because of all the rain we have, still flood warnings out there. And that's where we pick up the other part of this story, the damage that's going on. We're going to send it out to our own Nate Eaton, who's live in Smithfield, Isle of Wight County. Nate, behind you, it's a lake, not a street anymore.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right, man. It is a complete lake. The good news is that it has stopped raining. We're getting some sprinkles out here, but not a downpour like it has been for the past 24 hours. Check out behind me. That's a hotel, a restaurant, a candy store, a bunch of other businesses. They are literally having to use a canoe to get to their place of business. In the hotel there last night, every room was full except one. So instead of driving the guests and having them park right here, they used this canoe right up there on that ramp. And we have Margie here with us. She works at the hotel. Margie, come on in here. Tell me, how unique of an experience is it to take these guests to their rooms in canoes?
It's very unique. The last time it probably happened was Isabel.
Yeah. Is that the last time that it's been this bad?
Yes, Normally, if a northeaster comes through, or if we have unusually high tides, our parking lots will flood, but not on this end. So this doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, and we saw just a few minutes ago a huge semi-truck went through this big lake right here. Have you been seeing a lot of cars go through?
Not today. We did yesterday afternoon when the tide went out. We had some cars that came through, but for the most part, everybody who lives here pretty much knows, or they were calling us and asking us if the roads were closed.
Now, it looks like the Smithfield station is built pretty high up. Have you had any damage inside?
We haven't had any damage in the new section in the lodge, but 5 of our boardwalk rooms did flood yesterday.
Okay, and so the guests that are in there, how do they get out today, and how are you shuttling them back and forth?
Until the tide comes in, we're okay. They're putting trash bags on their feet in order to get down the ramp, but in about an hour, We will probably be bringing them out either by the little cart or by canoe again.
All right, that should be a fun time. Thank you so much, Margie. And you know, just in the past few minutes, the tide's coming in right now. When we got here, you could walk up that ramp, but you can see that the water really is rising right now. So it should be interesting to see what happens here in the next hour or so. Right now, we're going to check in to Chesterfield County and see how the weather's going there. Here's 8 News reporter Josh Landon.
It's been pretty busy in Chesterfield. Because of the rain over the past couple of days, we have numerous flood warnings in effect through the weekend. And that's the other part of the story, the flooding and the problems, the James River, even the impact on coastal sections. That's where we find our own Nate Eaton, who's live in Smithfield. Nate, it is looking like a mess behind you.
Now that the sun's coming up, we're really kind of seeing a whole new dimension to the damage and the flooding that's happening here in Smithfield. You can take a look at my brand new plastic bags that I've put on. If you don't have rain boots, those come in handy. I'm going to step out of the way. Check out right over here. It looks like one huge, huge lake. And that's a bridge. This bridge on South Church Street is a major thoroughfare through Smithfield. A lot of people use it. It's one of the main 2 roads that you can get through the city with, but it is completely covered. You can't get through here today. And then when we pan over here to the restaurant and the hotel and everything, what normally is a parking lot is now just covered in water. And in a few minutes here, there's a few guests still in that hotel. They're going to start using that canoe to bring them back and forth, because for a while here they've been putting on these plastic bags, walking up the ramp over to their room and back and forth. The water's getting so high with the tide coming in, that's not going to be possible. So it's definitely a vacation to remember if you're staying here in this hotel, the Smithfield Station, and you get to go to your room in a canoe. Coming up on 8 News at 9 o'clock, there's a home right over here that is flooded. Their basement, he had picnic tables in the backyard. They're now out by the street. That's how bad this water has been. We're going to go on a little tour and show you the damage that's impacting homeowners. But for now, yeah, here in Smithfield, Virginia today, people are still dealing with the high waters. This right here is the Smithfield Station. There's a hotel there on the top 2 floors. Down below, there's a restaurant, a candy store, some other shops, completely covered in water, as you can see. Not only that, it's gone on over to the road, and across the road, where there also is normally a parking lot, everything completely soaked. Not a lot of cars going through here today, and there are actually people staying in this hotel, and the owner has a unique way of getting people in and out. How are you doing it, Ron?
We're doing two different things. As you can see right now, we're using a little buggy system to get you from low water to high water. When it really gets deep, we put you in a canoe and row you across.
Now, you still are open for business and things are going just fine, right?
We are. The hotel's open for business. It doesn't look like we are. The restaurant is closed, but we are feeding our hotel guests.
Okay, so I'm going to hop in here. This is what the hotel guests have to do, right? They hop in here, and then Ron, take it away, Ron. They take them out into the street here where a truck, Ron's truck, takes them into town and they go to work. You know, a lot of Dominion power workers are staying here at the hotel because they're going out and responding to power outages throughout the city of Smithfield, and they are helping people get their power back, and it's as easy as that. Definitely a trip to remember. Very good, Ron. Thank you. There's also several homes that have been impacted. As you can see right behind me, a lot of water here at these houses. Coming up on 8 News at noon, we will have a full report on the damages and just what is happening. But for now, reporting in Smithfield, I'm Nate Eaton, 8 News. This is the mural that's on the back of a business in the Fan. The one that used to be here got a lot of people talking, and tonight the artist and business owner tell me they hope this one does the same thing.
Tonight, Powhatan police are searching for the man who allegedly broke into a house, but that's not all he's accused of doing. 8 News reporter Nate Eaton explains.
Police say it all began here at this home behind me on the 1000 block of Dorset Road in Powhatan County. And now this is the man they are searching for, 31-year-old Preston Wyatt. He's wanted for breaking and entering and destruction of property. Here's what investigators say happened. 3:30 in the afternoon on December 16th, Wyatt goes to the Powhatan house and knocks on the door. When no one answers, police say he then kicked it in. The 61-year-old man inside hears a noise and comes to the front door. He asks Wyatt what he wants. Wyatt says he's looking for an address that doesn't exist. After a short conversation, Wyatt takes off. That's when investigators say Wyatt got into a blue 4-door Mercury and left the neighborhood, but not before the owner of the home got his license plate number. A check of those plates led officers to Wyatt's girlfriend, who told them that she let him borrow the car. As authorities continued to look into the case, they learned that Wyatt went to a family member's house and stole his own 4-year-old daughter's Christmas presents. Again, this is what Preston Wyatt looks like. He's about 5'11", weighs 230 pounds. He has a tattoo of a jester's head on his neck below his left ear. I'm Nate Eaton for 8 News.